Now at 10, multiple reports of tornadoes in central Indiana. And take a look at this video from Greenwood in Johnson County. This is just south of Stones Crossing and just east of 135. As you can see, the powerful tornado ripping debris up and swirling it around in that area. And these storms also brought hail near Kirkland. People saw hail the size of a softball. We have team coverage of damage from the storm. Danielle Zolkowski is in Greenwood, Richard Essex is in Kirkland, and Ryan Morse is here in studio, who's been tracking this storm all day long. But we're going to start first with News 8's Danielle Zolkowski. She's live in Johnson County. Danielle, what sort of damage are you seeing?
Well, here in Greenwood, just short of the Bargersville border, we have some very severely damaged homes. As you can see behind me here, this house actually had most of its roof ripped off as a result of this severe storm. Crews are working to fix the structural damage to the home. We spoke to the homeowner earlier who says he and his son were inside during the storm and they ran to the basement. Luckily, there were no injuries there, and shockingly, no injuries across the board from this severe weather. According to Bargersville Fire, there were about 75 homes with moderate to severe damage across about a 3-mile stretch from this severe weather. Now, Bargersville says that there will be emergency shelter at the Greenwood Middle School through the Red Cross if anyone is out of a place to stay tonight. The homeowner here in Greenwood says it just was a shocking and scary experience, but he is thankful that he and his son are okay.
I was scared. I've never, I've had close calls with tornadoes, but nothing like this. Because just seeing in your house, I've never had this close a call. So it was scary. My son screaming, run to the basement, and obviously my dog was in the room, and I grabbed her, running downstairs. It was terrifying, especially just with everything, the wind, the glass, him screaming. It's like I didn't even know. I wasn't sure what was going on.
As of about 8 p.m., there were still 3,700 people out of power with the Johnson County IMC. They are working to get power back on for those that still don't have it, but that will take a while. They are, of course, working on that. I'm Danielle Zolkowski for Wish TV, wishtv.com, and like us on Facebook.
We continue our team coverage with senior investigative reporter Richard Essex. He's live in Kirkland. Richard, how much damage are you seeing there?
Well, almost every single house of this town of just over 700 people has some type of damage. I have been in a lot of towns in central Indiana, covered a lot of storms, but I've never seen a town like this where almost every single house has some type of damage. The storm started about 3 o'clock this afternoon, and we're out here in the middle of the cornfields, and people could see the storm coming. Even as the sirens were blaring, it started out as pea-sized hail, but ended up the size of softballs. Almost right in the middle of town, a grand old house that has stood the test of many Indiana storms took a beating. The siding of Doug Gillespie's 140-year-old house is in shambles.
This is bad. It's baseball-size hail and wind, and it started out as pea-size, and then around 3 o'clock it just increased to where it was beating on the house and beating on the windshields. Yeah, it was pretty traumatizing.
The new metal roof on one of his outbuildings is going to need some work. His pickup truck has fresh pockmarks on the hood, courtesy the storm had a big crack through the windshield.
We were worried about some of it coming through the roof. It was really hard. It was harsh.
Just down the street, Jason Amick and his wife stood on the front porch when the storm came rolling into town.
This is the worst storm I've ever seen.
As the storm barreled across the Indiana fields, the hail started small, like the size of a pea, but in seconds grew to the size of a baseball.
At least 20 minutes.
When the sky cleared, he had a couple of broken windshields, some damage to his roof, but his 2 Harleys, which were outside but covered by a small nylon awning, were untouched.
The motorcycles, not a mark on them.
On every street, cars are covered with tarps. Neighbors gather in their yards, comparing the damage. The owner of this Prius believes his hybrid is probably totaled. The roof on his house didn't fare much better. The damage left behind by 20 minutes of baseball-sized hail certainly has left a mark on this town. Out on the west side, we found Connor Lunsford. At the age of 19, he says this storm is one for the record books.
I just started hearing a bunch of hail going down. I looked out the window. They started off real small, and they just started getting bigger and bigger. And then eventually I found one that was just the size of my hand. I was like, oh, crap. And then I just started seeing them falling and hitting the truck, and I was like, oh, there's a lot of damage.
The population of the town is just over 700, but this afternoon we saw at least 20, maybe 30 roofing contractors that were up here inspecting the houses. And while we were getting this story gathered this afternoon, everybody would stop, or we had several people come up and stop, and all the cars that stopped to talk to us had some kind of damage. Some of them the size of a softball, dents in the car, cracked windshields. But the good news, nobody was injured, and the lights have stayed on. In Kirkland, Indiana, Richard Essex, Wish TV. Cody, back to you.